Alright, just like with the last class, if you could please go to your open up the virtual desktop, copy from the P drive for this class. There's a folder with today's date on it, and start up Eclipse, create a brand new project, and call it Savings Account, like I've got it listed right there. We're gonna see how much we can get done this period, but there's a lot of stuff to do here. Now, I'm not sure exactly with those of you here, how many of you here have the book, period, or have the book with you. But if you don't, it's not a problem. But what I do want to tell you is that what we're going to do right now is we're going to do programs 10 and 11 at the end of chapter 5. Those programs are on pages 350 and 351. We're first going to write a savings account program where we're going to manually put in our input. Alright, so the first one, that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to basically make a copy of that program, and we're going to use input files for our input. Alright, and ideally we're going to get the same information, the same output, the same everything, doing it both ways. But this is the first time we've jumped into working with files. So we will ideally, like I said, write a couple programs. One's just an offshoot of the other one today. And then on Wednesday, we will spend the period going over Chapter 5. So Chapter 5 in our book talks about loops and it talks about files. Those of you who were in the previous class, not to be funny, but virtually everything we just said for C# about for loop, while loop, do while loop, continue, and break works exactly the same in Java. There's really no differences. That's why, as much as possible, when we can, I've tried to keep lockstep between the two classes. So I'm going to do just what I asked you to do. In other words, I'm going to come in here into Eclipse, start up Eclipse. Well, that's playing around. It's not going to matter. In fact, no, don't make a main. The question was, Luke just asked, should we make a main? If you already did, you're going to remove it, so you can just say no. You don't have to. All right, as far as what's in there, if you look up on the screen here, what we're about to do is this savings account program, and I think this is the right one. So we're going to put all that stuff in there in just a minute, okay? And don't worry about it. It's just, those are just comments. If you look up on the screen, though, what we're going to end up doing in a couple minutes is our deposits are right here, and our withdrawals are right here. So what we're going to do is use those two files as the input to the program. We're going to start with a $500 balance, then we're going to add the deposits, subtract the withdrawals, and then add our interest. Does that make sense? All right, so that's what we're going to be getting to in the class today. So I've already got a program in here that's called Savings Account. So just for mine, I'm going to call it Savings Account 2. All right? I could refactor this one. I'm just going to leave it because I know that one works. So. And to go back again to the question that got asked before that Luke asked, so this is Savings Account 2. So I'm going to come in here, and as we always do, then I'm going to come in and put in a new package. And I'm going to had my class, which was savings account. And I can still call it savings account, even though it's in a folder called savings account 2. That's fine. Now, the only time that you should be checking this for the public static void main is if we're writing the demo to actually run our class. We're not doing that. We're going to create the class now. Okay? So I'm going to click Finish. That brings up everything. That's all nice. Just exactly what I want. And the first thing I'm going to do, again, whether you do this or not is up to you, but the first thing I'm going to do is in that folder I just asked you to copy over, I'm going to open up the thing that's called Savings Account, copy it to the clipboard, and I'm going to paste it in at the top. All right. So I now have my comment explaining what the class is, ideally at least, supposed to be doing. Okay, I took this literally from right out of the book, too, just so you know. So we're going to go through all this. We're going to design a savings account class that stores the account's annual interest rate and balance. The constructor should accept the amount of the savings account starting balance. The class should also have methods for subtracting the amount of a withdrawal, adding the amount of a deposit, adding the amount of monthly interest. All right, monthly interest is going to be, so for instance, if we had a 3% interest rate, that would be 3% annual. So our monthly interest rate would be 1/4%. That makes sense? 3% divided by 12. All right. To add the monthly interest rate to the balance, multiply the interest rate by the balance and add the result to the balance. All right. Test the class in a program that calculates the balance, etc. So we're going to do all that stuff. A loop should iterate once for every month and perform all that good stuff. All right. So this is, again, that's where we are, and that's what we're going to be doing. All right, I'm going to hit enter quite a few times. You don't have to do this just so I can open up some space in here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 or 7 different variables. Okay? Oops, sorry. If you don't like my verbiage, you can always change it. Probably, instead of balance here, I probably should have called that current balance, but I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. You'll notice that when I put in this, I get an error because it doesn't know where to look for it, so I'm going to go and use the quick fix and tell it to import the number format and put it in, or you could always manually put it in also. in the constructor. Now you'll notice if you look up here, because this is kind of the first time we've done this, I'm setting two things to the same variable. This thing right here, ideally, that should only be set once. That should make sense to all of you. You only have a starting balance once. All right? But as the program goes on, I want to be able to change the balance. So I created two variables. One that was called balance and one that was called start balance. Again, if that makes it easier for you to understand, call yours start balance and current balance or something like that. All right, if that makes it easier for you. And so in here, and please look at this, even if you're still typing, I'll give you time. Hopefully everybody's got this. Okay, so I can move this down a little bit, but I want you to see this. Right now, when I create an instance of a savings account class, I'm going to be passing in two doubles. I think that makes sense to everybody. In this routine, the first one I pass in is going to be called balance, which is the same name as this. So I cannot say here balance equal balance, because all that does is it introduces ambiguity into the program. But if I say this dot balance equal balance, that says take whatever value that one is there. That one that you see there in blue is this. By putting the word this in front of it, that means that balance is now this one. Does that make sense? And if you raise your hand, wait. How about if I just come in here and write B? Then do I even need to say this dot balance? Can I just say balance equal B? Yes. But what you'll find, again, this goes back kind of to the question that Mike had asked in the previous class. Many programmers always preface their stuff in their constructors with this, whether it's the same name or a different name. All right? So, this will set balance. In fact, let's say this. Set changeable balance. Set non-changeable balance. And set interest rate. All right. Now, if you look up on the screen here, there's going to be a couple other things that we're going to have to put in here. But when you look at this, I'm moving this up a little bit so you can see all these variables. All right. We only have to set that once. I already mentioned that to you. And really, the only place you should be setting that is in the constructor, that particular field. This field, you might set and get all over the place. This field, you might set and get all over the place. This field, you might set and get all over the place. So these three fields that you see right here, the balance, the interest rate, and the interest earned, we're going to let the system set up our getters and setters for us. You may or may not remember how to do that. I'm going to pretend you don't remember how to do that. So I'm going to put in some room here. And again, it's just these three that we care about. So I'm going to go into, what was it, source, generate getters and setters, and I want to choose balance and interest rate and interest earned. All right. I don't want to select all because I don't want them for these. I just want it for these three. And as it says, 6 out of 14. So get set, get set, get set. 8 were not selected. All right. Now, if you did accidentally select all of them, you're just going to remove those 8 statements because there's no reason to have those in there. So boom, now I've got that in there. That wasn't good because where I had the mouse resting, it put it way up above, which I didn't want that, but that's fine. I'll just move it down. Make sure it looks okay. Okay, so there's my variables. There's my constructor. There's my get and set for balance, my get and set for interest rate, my get and set for interest earned. All right? Does that make sense to everybody, what we just did? Okay, hopefully by now it is making some sense. Again, what I'm doing right now, this is just me, and I know I'm anal about this stuff, but if you knew the person that I had when I learned this, the way that he taught everything was, no, those curlies go on a separate line. You weren't asked. You were just told. You like them all to be on the same line as we just looked at, that's fine. It's not a problem. It just looks out of whack to me to see it like that, that's all. All right. So, do we have to change any of these? Well, let's see. Public double, get balance, return balance. That looks good the way it is. All right, how about set balance? Public void, set balance. This dot balance, no, that looks good. How about the interest rate? Well, this is going to return the annual interest rate, and I don't want that. I want the interest rate, all right, but I want it divided by 12, basically, okay? And actually, no, I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm sorry. We'll leave. These are both okay. It's the interest earned I'm going to worry about. So my balance is okay. My interest rate's okay for get and set. So let's go down to interest earned, down to here. All right. So for my set interest earned and my get interest earned, okay? Well, let's see. Return interest earned, this dot interest earned equals it. That one looks like it's probably okay, but that return right there, when I get my interest earned, all right, what I want there is not that. My interest isn't going to be the interest earned. I could probably leave it the way, in fact, let's leave it the way it is, and we're going to end up changing that in a little bit. Okay? So the good news is, you've already done, you know, put a lot of stuff in here already. Now, if it's a bank account, we better have a couple different routines that we write. How about one that's called deposit and one that's going to be called withdrawal? That should make sense to everybody. And I'm going to pass in some kind of an amount. I don't know what it'll be yet. Now think about this. I'm about to, when I call this routine, I'm depositing money into an account. That makes sense to everybody? So there's actually two things I want to do. One is I want to take whatever I've just put in and I want to add it to my balance. But since I'm also keeping track of my total deposit amount, I want to add it to that too. That's an accumulator. So I want to do both of those in here. So I'm going to say total deposit amount plus equals amount and balance. Isn't that what I called it? Tote, dep, amount. Tote, dep, amount. Right. And balance plus equals. Does that make sense? And the other thing I'm going to want to do is, since I have a deposit method, sure as to me at least, it's going to make sense that I also have a withdrawal method. Now, if you look up on the screen here, it's pretty important right there that you make that one a minus for your, I'm sorry, the one here for your balance. Chances are pretty good, if you've ever had that happen to you, that if the bank makes an interest in your favor, they typically will find out about it. I had 1 month for MasterCard, they forgot to send me a bill. I thought that was pretty cool. They remembered the next month and sent me 2 bills. All right. Plus, they wanted to know why I was late on the first one. That took a few phone calls, but it was like, I was late on it because you never sent it to me. Okay. And the good news in here is there's really only one more thing we have to do. We're going to override that two-string method. Okay? That's all we really got left. Yes. You're right. That should be the total withdrawal amount. Thank you. No, we're told that in teacher's school, that you make mistakes occasionally to see if the class is listening. All right? All right. Sorry about that. So now let's overwrite the two-string. I've just gotten to the point where the string, the first 2 lines I put in here when I override the two-string method, I come in and I say string, and I just call it the string. And I first set it equal to double quote, and then put in a few lines, and then just return the string. And that should remove any errors that you have in here. We still have stuff to put in here, all right? But that should remove any errors that we have in here. Again, I get the underline because it hasn't been identified. So I'll just click my quick help, boom, and put it up at the top of the program, so I'm fine. I went out and looked online and found this stuff out. You've already worked with that decimal formatter, but you've never worked with this one. And there wasn't. It was good that you asked me that question about the mistake that I made, but nobody said, hey, wait a minute. We never did anything before that said exactly that. We didn't. We did decimal formatter, but we didn't do number formatter. I tried to set this up so that we can use percentages for us. All right, how did I find out? Because I couldn't remember, so I went online and Googled it. This is going to be kind of ugly. make this font a little bit smaller so you're able to see everything, but I'll do that in just a second. Thank you. It's, are you interested in the interest earned, I guess. That's about the best I can get it that way. Remove a couple things and the good news is that's it for that. That's it for the savings account class. That's it. So you just have to write the demo. Then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to modify that class so that our demo we can use. We can actually do it from a file. You know, too, when you are filling out your course evaluations, if you don't like the way this is being done, that's your chance to say something. You are anonymous to me. I don't know because you're putting hard copies in there, so I don't know who is saying it, and that's okay. But the thing is, I know a lot of people last semester wrote down, well, I wish we'd go over some of the programs. So what we're doing typically is we're going over a program that's harder than the one that's being assigned to you. All right? And I'm hoping that by doing that, if you have an understanding of that program, that the one that you're assigned should be much easier for you to work on. So I'm trying to answer the concerns that people had last semester. Yes. It's not going to work. You don't have a main yet. It's what it's doing is it's going in and it's looking for something with a main. Well, it depends. I'd have to see how your thing is set up, but it might be that you had literally had that one open before, not even realizing it. So it just basically equated it with that one. No, right now it's not gonna. It won't work. It won't do anything. No, as long as you've got it, as long as you set it up the way we said. So if you've got a folder called savings account, it's in there. You'll be all right when we get all done. Now, when I looked at this, just so you know, we're gonna go and we're gonna key in the demo, but there might be a line that I've got in this program here that's wrong. When I say wrong, everything will work, but you might get the wrong results. So if that's the case, we'll go back and take a look at it. So don't, if you look at it, go, oh my God, what the hell is that? Don't let that worry you. It'll be fine. All right. So I want to create the demo for this. So I'm going to right mouse click on my folder, or on my package, I should say, over the savings account. And I'm going to do a new, and I'm going to do class again. And this one I'm going to call Savings Account Demo. This one will have a main in it. All right. And the good news is it's not really very long, maybe 20 lines or so. So hopefully we'll have a chance to, everybody will get to put it in, and we'll get it to work hopefully before the break. Then after the break, we're going to literally just make copies of this so we can use the file stuff instead. All right. And what I decided to do is I thought it might be easier to show it to you like this. This isn't the way the author did it. I looked at the author's, because I get the author's key, and I didn't like it all the way he did it. All right. The only thing I used from his was the main, and I don't even like his main, because in his main he uses the system.out.print lines for everything, which I think is just dumb. But that was fine. All right. So I just did it that way. All right. So we've got this. You've seen this before. So, oops. So I'm ready to come in here and start writing some code in here. So, oh, I'm sorry, 500, not 100, 500. Somebody tell me what this is right here. What's happening? I'm asking you, what's happening when that line of code is getting hit? Literally, what programmatically, this is the kind of thing you have to start getting into your mind and your mindset as programmers. What is happening when that line is being hit? Okay, now that's a real good start. We're creating an object, all right, of type savings account. So it's going over to here, and it says, okay, I got a constructor. There it is. Am I passing in two doubles? So that's what it looks for. And it says, yeah. I mean, it converts that to 500.0. Okay, so that's fine. And it says that 500 is now going to be the balance. And that 3, which is 300ths or 3%, that's going to be the interest. Does that make sense? That's what we've done so far. All right. So I just wanted to print out some what we're going to do is I'm going to say, display the current stats, so we're going to print out everything. Then I'm going to do the deposits. Then I'm going to do the withdrawals. Then we're going to display the current stats. Okay? So in other words, look at it this way. That I'm just making these up because these aren't the numbers we're going to use. So we just said we had $500 in there as our current amount, and we've got a 3% interest rate. So let's say we come in there and we deposit $100, then $100, then $300, then $400. Okay? We'll leave it right there. So when we get done with all that and we add all those up, 400, 300, that's 700, 800, 900, we should now have, what, $1,400 in there, right? After we do all that. Then we're going to come in there, we're going to withdraw. So then we have to add these up. And we're not going to literally put them in as minuses, but just so you know. So we're going to say 500 plus 100 plus 100 plus 300 plus 400 minus 500 minus 50 minus 75 minus 125. Does that make sense? Now, you wouldn't typically be doing it like this. We typically would maybe do a deposit, then a withdrawal, then a deposit, then maybe a couple. So it isn't exactly symbolic of real life. All right? But this is just the way that he explained it in the book. So that's why I'm doing it this way. All right? So I'm going to have a 1, 2, 3 system.out.println statements. And so I'm just going to cheat a little bit. Make some deposits. We're going to do that in a minute. Make some withdrawals. And then I'm going to display my final stats. All right, so I'm going to have to fill this stuff in, but I want you to understand what's happening. I'm creating a savings account object. I'm printing out its initial stuff. I'm going to make some deposits here. I'm going to make some withdrawals here. And then I'm going to print out the final stuff. So it's basically what I just showed you. All right? So, and again, I'm going to need room, so I'm going to move that way over. Again, I'm going to put this in here. This may look funky. Instead of 3%, it may come out as 300 or 3,000% in just a second. We'll fix it if it does. All right? Now, you don't have to raise your hand and go, where the hell do I get an account at that bank? I want to know where I can get one with a savings account that's got 3%, to be honest with you. All right? Over, you won't be able to see it otherwise. Oops. not just pulling these numbers out of thin air either. These are the numbers that we're going to have in our files that are on page 351. These are the amounts that are in the deposit.txt. These are the amounts that are in withdrawals.txt. That's why I chose those numbers. Oops. Starting balance was 500. Total amount deposited was $341.47. The total amount withdrawn was $230.50. Our interest rate annually was 3%. Monthly was 0.25%. Somehow the interest earned got hosed. I'll have to fix that. And our new balance. So that's not bad, because the only thing that's hosed in here is the interest earned. And that was that formula that I told you. So we're going to have to make one change, then it should be right. If you would have told me that I could replicate what I did in front of you and only make one or two mistakes, I would have told you not possible. All right. So Luke 2, now when you run this, that other one should be totally gone. Okay. Yeah, when you go and you do a run, what it's attempting to do is not only a compile, but a run. And when you do the run, it literally needs a main in there when you're running an application. Now, there's other things that you can do in here too. You can do a clean, and there's a way to do just a run and a compile in here also. All right, I'm waiting for that book to come out by John Wanda, Everything You Need to Know About Eclipse, and then I'll read that and I'll tell you what that is. All right. So the one line that's wrong in here is the interest earned. So if I go back to the SavingsAccount.java file, and where there's the get interest earned, all right, so in here someplace we've got get interest earned. Right now it looks like this, return interest earned. That's not correct. That should be return balance times the interest rate divided by 12. All right, so I need one more current. That should do it. So please change, I mean, on minus line 93, yours might be something else, but your get interest earned, change it to that line that's in blue, please. And let's see. I'll leave it up there, but I'm going to do another run. Interest earned was $1.53. And I mathematically, myself, literally with a calculator did these, and it said the balance was 500, the deposit should be 341.47, which they are. The withdrawals should be 230.30, which they are. The interest should be $1.53, which it is, and the total should be $612.70. So it all worked. Now, just one thing before we take a break, okay? Because we've sort of talked around this, but we haven't really talked that much about it before. If you take a look at the code that's right here, this is the demo. All right? I guess I could have put this on 2 lines. That probably would have made it much easier than I could have. There. But what I want you to see is this. That's the object. And Eric was right when he said that. That's what we're doing right there, is we're instantiating, or we're creating a new savings account object that's going to be called savings. Once we've done that, we can now call any method of the savings class. So here we're calling it the savings classes, or the savings account classes deposit method. Here we're calling the withdrawal. And that might not sound like a big thing. This is the big thing. That last line that you see in here that's got blue in it, that's calling the toString method. So what that's doing is it's coming in here and it's calling the start balance, or it's giving you the start balance. It's giving you the total deposit amount, the total withdrawal amount, and it's calling the get interest earned divided by 12, the get interest rate divided by 12, the get interest earned, the get balance, and the get interest earned. So by going and tucking, so to speak, by going and tucking everything into the overridden toString method, that sure makes our actual program itself much cleaner. Our demo is much cleaner. All right. Now let's take a break and let's come back at quarter after. And when we come back at quarter after, if people still, if they have any questions or whatever, we'll see if we can deal with them at that time.